now. Renekton
you
pressing.
can fight. Slow.
I ult to come me. I have after. Yeah, Wunder. Look, Sjokz as well. If you under.
Yeah, it's fine. Go Jack.
Razork continuing to step up. Humanoid laying down auto after auto. Voidseeker connecting. Nuke laying down so much damage. He leaps in. He finishes off the mid laner. He's stunned. Noah Gale forcing forward. Crownie just about to get taken down. It's just an intense fight. Crownie continuing to free fire. It's AD versus AD.
One more, guys.
Yeah, just take a deep breath. It's fine.
BDS bring us to match point. We hear Silver Scrapes. I love hearing it here in the studio, but I hope we get it next week because it hits different on a big stage in a big arena. Nevertheless, though, it also hits hard today. I think for both teams involved, such high stakes. Not only, of course, the consequence of playing Golden Guardians or not, or going straight to the Swiss stage, but having the chance to play in Montpellier for both sides, and it's pretty crazy in terms of the aspirations for all these players for next week.
100%. I mean, on the one side, you have Adam that's trying to qualify to play in a final in France up against a former and current Fnatic top laner in Wunder, which is just crazy with the replacement stories going on there. And on the other side, you have Trymbi, who lifted the trophy last summer that now has to win here to be able to have that chance too.
But I also think for a lot of people as well, it's like BDS kind of having their little bit of a redemption arc after they look so good in spring and winter, and then coming into summer, we're like, this was not the team that we expected to see. But especially, I think guys like Sheo stepping up massively once more. Like, I was actually missing how good this guy was from the early stages of the year, and now it finally feels like we're getting that again.
Yeah, and I'll take that and I'll raise you one more on the BDS redemption story, because like BDS this time in the year 2022 was the biggest flaming disaster that Europe has ever seen, and this year has been phenomenal for them, and now they're just one game away from going to finals weekend.
It's crazy. And I think they really put all into it in the team fights, especially at the end of last game. A couple of people really standing out as well. As we take a look at some of these, who were the standout players you think in bringing them to this game 5?
I mean, honestly, there was a couple in this fight. I thought it was like Crownie versus Noah, because like this fight was on an absolute knife's edge and really looked like it could go either way. But the Qs that land onto Noah, he's taken so low, and then you'll watch this. There's a Q that's actually going to kill Trymbi, and Noah just slightly mispositions and goes in front of it right here at the end of the fight. And then when he falls, as that Q snipes him right there, boom, in the middle of 4 people, he gets hit. That turns into a Baron, but it very nearly goes awry as BDS, after getting the Baron, overcommitted.
Yeah, and I think that's where you could kind of see here that there's still a lot of fight in Fnatic, especially after just picked up the Lord Dominic's regard for Noah. He's got red-blue here. In a close quarter fight like this, he's going to be able to pop off, and I think that's where we got to see Fnatic hoping that that late game would track enough that they were going to be able to bring it forward. But I think as we started to look more and more, it's the fact that every time we look at these objective setups, BDS are the ones that are in control from the get-go. We see it at this last Dragon fight here, where they end up picking up the Soul. We see it at the early Rift Herald as well. And I think that's been such a crux of this entire series, is who can get control of those early objectives and then lean that into those early fights.
And it did seem like Fnatic was trying to do that. Like a lot of the times coming off of a reset, it was sort of like 5 players barrel down mid and they try to look for something while BDS are picking up the side lanes. Like even the first fight in that replay, that came after they put down a ton of damage onto Labrov. He lost his ultimate and he wasn't involved in the initial fight. But I think they're like, because of the combination of like the mobility of a lot of BDS champions and the range that they can poke with that Ezreal, you saw they sort of weathered the storm in the early stage of the 45 and then turned it around with a few critical abilities landing.
And that's why I think when we look towards how this kind of meta has adapted over the course of this series, it's been really interesting to look at, especially towards things like the jungle picks, the AD carry picks, how they've kind of adapted, like seeing that Ezreal now rise up in situations where it's like, okay, I can self-peel, therefore we're able to go for picks like the LeBlanc that we'd seen banned away a bunch of times. We have Labrov, who's able to get his hands on the Rakan that can do a lot of work, but also looking at things like the Maokai now that are starting to tend in towards that jungle role. Great at these early skirmishes and team fights. Like we heard Odo kind of talking about how teams can set up behind their tanks to kind of avoid a lot of this, but I honestly think when you've got things like the LeBlanc that's able to come in over offside, if you're all trying to deal with this big Maokai ultimate, you're kind of sitting fish for people that can try and come in over the sides or flanks, and that was a big issue here for Fnatic.
It definitely was, and I think from the side of BDS, when you're going into this final game now, you have a lot to build on in terms of like Nuke. Wonderful lights out play on the LeBlanc. You had a great game from Crownie on the Ezreal as well. That Darius is hitting so hard for Adam. We have to say it because we've been looking at this top lane matchup a little bit as like, okay, they're able to kind of mitigate what's being thrown at Wunder and this and that, but Adam is just doing fantastic on it, so yeah.
Yeah, I think like in terms of looking at top lane, it hasn't felt like top lane in isolation really matters so much to the greater context of the game. Like, even the games that Adam has gotten ahead hasn't mattered so much in terms of his impact. But I do agree, like the Darius in terms of like the survivability in the team fights with the Flash Ghost is just so frustrating to deal with. But Nuke, I love that you mentioned Nuke, because I have seen in the 2 games they've actually won, BDS, it has been Nuke on the LeBlanc. And those are also the 2 games where he's sort of just generated pressure in mid lane on his own, right? In this game, he very nearly had a solo kill on Humanoid. In game 1, when he was laning versus the Jace too, like Humanoid was stuck underneath tower, was getting poked out, losing plates, down in minions, all of these things. So I'm sort of looking at the mid lane matchup like, can we keep things into the realm of like LeBlanc versus a Jace or a Xayah? Because the other matchups didn't go so well.
But that's the thing that I'm actually curious about. Like, as we start to see, like, okay, well, Maokai, Karthus, Ivern, I'm assuming one of them is going to slip through the draft here in Fnatic's on blue side. It feels like you start to open up Humanoid to then go back towards the Tristanas and the Jaces and these kind of things. And I feel like when I've looked at Fnatic traditionally over the course of this season finals, that has been the comfort for Humanoid, where he's able to pop off on the Jace. Like, they'll play off the Duskblade spike for a Jace and start looking for a Dragon, start looking for Rift Heralds and try and play around that. And I think that kind of gives a lot of structure to Fnatic. And I think that's where it becomes dangerous now for BDS if you can't get your hands on the LeBlanc and Nuke can't have the same sort of control.
Well, I do think it's very important, like even with the side switch, it's possible that we go back to game 1-2 draft where we see like AP sort of tempo jungler for Razork. I think that's a losing play for BDS if they let those things through, because I think like game 1, it wasn't the optimal situation, but you saw game 2 when Razork is on a fast clearing jungle, what he can do to take over the map. That also means like aggro AD mid laner, maybe the Tristana in mid lane with the blue side priority. So I think that would be a tough look for BDS to let through.
It would be. It's Fnatic that obviously is moving to that blue side going into this, and I want to take a little bit of a step back as we see the players stepping back onto the stage. In terms of the bigger picture, I had Trymbi and Humanoid in PGL last week after they also clutched it out of 5 games, and I was like, wait, how are you feeling? What is this out of 10? And Humanoid's like, oh, maybe a 7. They are the kind of players that savor this a lot. We see Trymbi here, of course, had the experience of having to do it on that big stage, but it took a whole year's work to get there as well. And I think from some of the other players on that roster of Fnatic, they're always clutch. They love thriving in game 5s, but will it be enough?
Well, I certainly hope for their sake that it is, because you have a guy like Trymbi, right, that only just came into this Fnatic team halfway through the year, right, at the start of summer split, which is crazy, being thrown in the deep end down next to Noah. So the fact that they've already sort of gone the distance, have that experience, is going to be a great help.
And it would be monumental to do it with your top laner who was unfortunately injured, and now someone else is coming in. That would be crazy. But this is where maybe BDS can take the upper hand. And then what a feat it would be for them, Dagda, to play on that stage in Montpellier. And as you say, maybe get back to some of those high highs they had in the middle of the year.
Especially it feels like they've got to overcome a lot of the problems that we saw from them in spring and winter, whereas, you know, they got to that finals, they got to that game 5, but they weren't actually able to get carried across the line. This is now their moment to kind of right some of the wrongs and prove to people that they have grown as a squad over the course of the year. In a best of 5, it's not going to be a case of they're choking. They're able to step up to the mark. They're able to carry across and able to get themselves to Montpellier and show to the world, honestly, that, I mean, they deserve to be here. They were right back in the early stages, were like, this isn't really a team that we're expecting to stand up massively, but they were able to do it early on in the year, and now at the end of the year, they're showing the same.
Yeah, and look, both these teams have shown like the ability to get an edge in every single match. Even this last game, like Wunder was ahead for a little bit in the early game. Like it's rare that I come into a game 5 and I feel like I don't know which team is going to win, but literally any matchup can skew any direction for these two teams, which is why it's so important. You have to show up in this one or LEC is over for you.
Oh my God, I love the way you put that. This is really what it all comes down to. Let's head over to Vedi, Caedrel, and Drakos.
Woo! Welcome to Caedrel for Game 5. I wasn't sure if we'd get here after that Game 1, to be honest, but I'm glad that we did in the end. Game 4 a bit slow, and I imagine Game 5 might be a bit of a similar sort as usually.
Please don't be.
Teams are tense in these Game 5s. It is
or
a best of
they're
one.
completely unleashed.
There is no middle ground.
It's like
20 kills in 20 minutes.
Because
or
you know
those
those speeches that you get at the start of the game. Both are having the exact same one, which is like, it's just a best of one, nothing to lose.
Just play aggressive.
Yeah. And they're both saying the exact same thing.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Yep.
Tristana, Karthus. BDS on red side. It's Karthus.
Karthus banned.
This is a no AP jungler zone.
Ooh, LeBlanc.
Or is it with Sejuani being up?
We'll have to see.
Xayah's up too. Tristana's up. Tristana's down. Xayah's up. Sejuani's up.
But is it
Jace is also
Sejuani
up.
first pick? Because I feel like it might be a Sejuani first pick.
Ivern's up.
Ivern is
Oh,
up.
wait, Ivern's
and
up?
Rell is also up.
That's Betty
Rell?
puts his
Oh,
jacket down.
We've gotten so used to just seeing those champions deleted from the game that we forgot they exist sometimes. So there is the Ivern, presumably traded
You
for
have to
Rell.
lock in Rell,
Sejuani,
right?
maybe? That's
I thought that was
That's
assuming
me.
a lock then. I was like... Alright, what is it going to be, Adam?
Surely they take Xayah and Rell or something like that, right?
I have to imagine.
Could go down the Sejuani route. The Renekton route is also another option.
Rell.
It's Rell Azir, maybe.
Azir, okay.
Ooh, okay.
They've denied the LeBlanc Tristana and they've said Azir is the next best in line. So what's Humanoid going to play into that? Is he going to go for the Jace with the Ivern? He's played a lot of Jace in summer. He's got 10 games on Jace, his most played. He's also got things like the Annie up his sleeve and the Nico, but
What should be Corki?
Well, in Season Finals, he's outside of that Azir game we saw earlier, he's only
could be, you
played
know.
Tristana, Jace, and now the Xayah as well.
it's his Wunder's. Yeah, it's his 4th Renekton game in a row, isn't it?
No, the game one, I think Adam got the, and he was
Yeah,
supposed to pick
fourth
one.
in a row.
Oh,
Two,
we're
three,
at 5
4,
games.
5.
Yes, thank you. Is that
We
how
are
counting works? That's
Exactly,
crazy.
yes.
I do think it could be a Corki angle for Fnatic, you know. Betty was joking about it, but I remember Humanoid
Never
on
joke.
Mad playing Corki.
Always serious.
Akali's good into the Azir.
True. Humanoid Akali. Oh.
They're dropping mid, so they're cooking something up. They're pre-picking the Alistar,
You
maybe.
think they're cooking something? I really don't. I think it's like Victor, Orianna. It's one of those champs.
That, you can call that
I'm a
cooking.
believer, Betty.
I still think Victor and Orion is cooking. It's just like top ramen, you know? Still a meal.
Didn't Gumayushi say AD carries like the ramen, the egg in the ramen? So
Yeah.
I guess the Victor is
No,
like the
but to be
noodles
clear,
or the
he's
broth.
probably talking about the good ramen. I'm talking about that like 50-cent packet.
That would
you
also
eat.
explain why, like...
Anyway, League of Legends. Braum now locked in, so it would appear that the Rell Flex is being fully utilized, as Sheo will have that in the jungle.
Yeah, and now it's just a case of Fnatic actually for once get bans on top if they want. They can take away the Darius Olaf now if they want for the Renekton to make his life easier, or they can target things like the Ezreal, which are a pain for the Renekton and the Nautilus, especially against Braum. Yeah, Kog'Maw Ezreal or Darius Olaf.
Sarah.
I feel like if they do like Darius Kog'Maw, it doesn't make sense because, you know, they've got Ezreal still, they've got Olaf still. They have to
Do one or the other.
do one or the
essentially.
other, I feel like, when it comes to these bans here. And I think AD carry might be the best option, you know. I think Ezreal plus Kog'Maw might be the best bans. But yeah, if Wunder is confident he can get a top lead, if Renekton Darius is down, then they could go in that direction.
Kind of like the situation BDS find themselves in, as you already highlighted. Kog'Maw going to be banned. Now expect to see the fall be the Ezreal here, because again, splitting bans. Not going to be super optimal.
They could also run a Jace Ziggs 4-5 here, Fnatic. That does play nicely into the Azir, you have to imagine.
I think it's...
That would
might
be cooking.
Callista.
Like, or they could do like AP Varus with Jace or something.
Haha, Orianna.
They could do Corki. Smiley face.
I mean, I'm just thinking like, if he sees an AD carry that's like, doesn't have a lot of mobility, I could see an Akali.
You know, if
There's a
Ezreal...
Braum and a Rell.
They banned Ornn.
The
They
Rell
might,
doesn't really do much.
with the Ornn ban, they might be playing Callista Game 5 again here, Fnatic.
Well, yeah, I was also thinking about Callista, but do you really want to play Callista into Azir Braum?
You do if you can get an early game lead, and
I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, in that case,
we just imagine it. If I just let you have anything you want, yeah.
Ornn ban makes me think of Callista, but then I'm scared if they pick AD carry here. And they picked Olaf.
there it is. Okay.
So they're countering AD. I was thinking maybe a rock on 5 if they picked Callista with an Ezreal Braum or something, but that's not the case.
All right. I feel like we've talked about every possible option. Now we just need to see what they actually log in.
Yeah, we have, haven't we?
Will it be Ziggs Jace?
Will it be Akali? Will it be Callista?
Syndra. That is not what I was expecting.
Into Braum,
Well,
Olaf, Rell? Oh,
I'm not
that's
a fan.
bold!
I'm not a fan.
Bold!
I mean, the
Is it
Syndra can
bot
stop
lane?
the Rell engages, but when she flashes, it doesn't.
She can't ult people when Braum has E up.
Yeah, she can do nothing against an Olaf. I'm pretty sure.
I've seen Humanoid Syndra versus Adam's Olaf.
Oh, Xayah's still available. Okay.
Wait,
Forgot about that.
There's the
chance.
Ezreal.
is.
Do you remember when they played against each other and then Olaf got that random triple kill?
I do remember that.
When Humanoid had no mana, just
The
running in a
bot
straight
lane,
line.
yeah.
So the Ezreal Braum, I think, was kind of telegraphed from their draft with Azir Rell into
I
Renekton
prefer
Nautilus.
BDS comp.
BDS's comp is nice. It's good. They've got Rell to break through a lot of shields. They've got more range. They've got more DPS. Their scaling looks good. Fnatic have the Ivern Redemption though, and that does work in fights. And Trymbi's Nautilus has been on point in fights as well. It's just, yeah, I feel like if Olaf gets uptime, as normal, you know, if Olaf does get uptime, it's trouble. But for Fnatic's comp especially, it's big trouble.
I just think that with poke comps, the best way to deal with them is like really fast engage or like reliable engage, right? And the only way you're actually starting a fight is if Syndra lands a good stun. Bear in mind there's a Braum there.
Yeah.
Or Nautilus can find a good knockup. And even if he does, Ezreal presses E, gets away, and then there's still a Braum there. So I'm just like, I feel like that there's no real access onto the back line.
You sound horrified.
Why did you said that so convincing?
Because I'm
like
just,
you're personally afraid of Braum.
Because like we've all seen what Braum can do, okay? He's like, I'm here, I'm friendly, and then wall!
Wow. True.
I don't know, I'm not optimistic for Fnatic. BDS, I'm a big fan of what they've drafted. Seems like they've got themselves comfort, and going into Game 5, comfort is what you need.
Agreed. Agreed. BDS's comp is quite nice overall. Fnatic need to get the ball rolling somewhere, and getting it rolling through top seems tricky, especially post 6. The Olaf is just gonna win on the 2v2 with the Rell, I believe. But yeah, again, also in the 3v3 bot side with Rell, Braum, and Nautilus, it's a struggle, but you know, Fnatic have windows. Their level 6 are quite strong. Their early Drake fights are quite strong. It's just when the Ezreal and the Azir get those 3-4 items and they have the range to work with that, it really becomes tricky.
Definitely gonna need to get a little bit creative here. Feels like for Fnatic to try to find an early lead and then snowball that as aggressively as possible so they don't end up in a position where they're trying to fight against the Ezreal, Azir, Braum as we get later into the game.
Yeah, Braum is going to be my biggest concern. But we are Game 5. If you have just tuned in, this is Fnatic versus BDS lower bracket.
Drakos broke the gap again.
No, I didn't.
He was ready.
I was ready.
The
winner.
The winner will qualify for top 3, Montpellier, and they will also qualify for the World's Championship Swiss stage, right? Which is past the play-ins. However, the loser, they're not out, but they will be out of Montpellier. They can't go.
Yep.
They will go up against Golden Guardians for a spot in play-ins. So even if they do beat Golden Guardians, they still have to fight their way through the play-in stage to join the rest of the European teams in the Swiss.
Yeah. So even if you're full euphoria for the loser of this one, it's still an incredibly hard road, even if they are able to dispatch the Golden Guardians. And of course, winner of this matchup will play in Montpellier versus the loser of G2 versus MAD. That matchup takes place tomorrow. So big stakes.
Yeah, big stakes. No, I used the Ghost. Scared of the Braum Q on the Tribush, so that's been missing. They've got a timer on that BDS. I saw the chat of them pinging it and such, so bit of a disadvantage in the straight 2v2. The heal on the Ezreal also makes it really hard to contest this 2v2. Not only is the support matchup difficult, but also they have an extra summoner now for just raw fighting power, and it looks like Sheo is going to go topside into bot. Razork's going to backtrack here and mark his camps and pick up the level 3 from his topside, or he's going to put a ward here, I imagine, and then go back up. Yeah, it looks like it. No real point in invading.
Yeah, the Ivern invades. Obviously easy to steal away a camp, but you're not getting much past that. Of course, no smite currently.
What is Sheo cooking? He did red Krugs, didn't go to Raptors. He W'd over the wall to run towards mid. This could catch Humanoid off guard on the remount. Is this a kill?
Set up, baiting Humanoid in. Humanoid trying to extend the trade.
Phase rush.
But phase rush. Now the flash coming through the stun follow-up, but just going to force a flash out from Humanoid, so we'll need to repeat gank the mid lane to try to get more out of that.
So a strong trade in top. Adam did come out ahead. Wunder now level 3.
He didn't get spotted.
But Adam is suspicious.
Adam, they're trying to flash in the snare. Immediately the root over the wall is going to do so much work. Adam trying to hold on for dear life, but he just doesn't have the help necessary. First blood coming through for Fnatic. Close, but Wunder grabbing the kill.
Looked like an Olaf moment there for a second as Adam was just getting the lifesteal through his passive with the shield on W. But Wunder flash stun, Razork flash Q. There's nowhere for Adam to really run. He just has to stand his ground and fight. Wunder gets that kill and he has the TP. He can save it if he wants to on this wave coming in. But can also just TP back to keep the pressure up. That's a big early lead for Fnatic on the top side.
I mean, it's one of those things where do we praise Trymbi for hitting these hooks, or should we criticize Crownie for constantly getting hit by these hooks? Because this series now, he has just been a hook magnet. And I guess it's a bit of A and a bit of B.
True. Most certainly. Labrov ultimately the one who loses a lot of health in that trade. Humanoid hovering in the area.
He has no flash, so I think Razork's here to just cover as much as possible, show presence, do Raptors, maybe run towards Krugs or wrap back around to mid, because that wave sucks. I think the idea from Sheo of getting the Syndra flash early is you can see it's only 1/4 of the way back up, and he's going to get level 6 nuke, so that's a really big pressure point for BDS if they want to look for a kill there.
Nice trade from Wunder, but Adam sees a window.
Is he willing to go into the tower?
Dead, I think.
This would be a little bit crazy, and it looks like he is willing to fully commit. The flash out, clean from Adam. What happens when you give the man his signature pick? It's now. Trades back and forth on the bottom side. Crownie takes the Ignite. Trymbi losing that summoner spell. Ghost coming out from Noah as well, but Crownie manages to hold on to his life and both of his sums. X-Flash in the mid lane, coming in onto Humanoid. Knockback clean onto Sheo. Phase Rush proc. He's now zooming out to safety.
Look at Labrov though, on the right-hand side. Can Q flash here if he wants.
Braum from nowhere with the big door. Like a steel chair, but more effective as they are able to find a quick kill there. Aggressive play coming out from Labrov to find that kill.
I mean, nice play from Labrov. Sees an opportunity, and this is all comes back to what Caedrel was saying earlier. The idea is to get the Syndra flash out early, and you can just keep attacking her. And they always find that window when, just as she's pushing the wave underneath Nuke's tower, they look for the gank. Second time now, and it pays off. BDS have accrued a small goal lead, and let's not forget Adam with his solo kill top lane, the flawless execution from him. I really thought that it would be a 1-for-1 trade. I thought Wunder's cooldowns were about to come up any second, but Adam immediately flashes away from the tower and just walks away cleanly. So huge props to him.
Yeah, great play, and he's got the steel caps now as well, so he's basically unkillable. He's going to be level 6 when this wave comes into him. Just needs to play slow. Only mistake he can make here is walking up and fighting Wunder on this wave, dying to a jungle gank, losing it all, and then his lead's gone. So just going to wait, farm with Q, let it come in, get 6, and I think from that point, top is just over in terms of jungle impact for Fnatic.
And huge that Adam was able to get that kill back, because the initial play mid lane, while it did get Humanoid's flash, didn't result in an immediate kill, whereas the gank topside from Fnatic did. So the fact that he's able to individually claw back some of his advantage here, massive for the side of BDS.
I mean, so many times I've seen Adam lock in this Olaf, and then teams will just camp it. You know, they'll make his life absolutely miserable and impossible to play. So as he rightly said, credit to him, because what could have been at the beginning of a snowball, he very quickly shut down.
So it's quiet on the Rift. Humanoid's flash is coming up, but you can see he's playing so safe. Nuke's level 6, Sheo was hovering again, but he's gonna hover to make sure Nuke gets the push to bring him towards this dragon. He has bot push, he has mid push, top's winning in isolation, so yes, his early game is looking good. See if Razork can try and contest on this bot side, but I mean, Braum has no flash. That could be a punish, but they need to be careful of the collapse from Nuke here. Razork still no flash, just gonna root him in range to make sure he can't get hit by that stun. And looks like everyone will back off the dragon reset.
Pretty decent XP advantage for Razork. Of about 1.5 camps at this point. We'll be able to pick up the Crutch as well. Sheo, though, determined to try to find something here on the bottom side.
Saw this dragon soon, though. He's using a lot of time here in his red buffs respawning. Fnatic are holding the wave, and Labrov's trying to stop them from doing it, but he needs help on this dragon, does Sheo. Razork just dinged over to 6, so he'll get 5 off this, but a level lead in the jungle now for Fnatic. They have the Daisy if they want to fight this, too.
He's gonna get Daisy involved. 3 members of Fnatic coming in, 4 members of BDS in the area. Labrov finds so much time with this Unbreakable Shield, continuing to step forward. Razork now gonna be in trouble. Nuke now scooping him right back to the rest of the team, but Noah's still laying down feathers. Will the pullback be enough to find a kill? For now, no is the answer, as he's forced to flash out to safety, back to Humanoid, who will scatter the weak, who will knock BDS back and keep his support alive.
I mean, Nuke was just first to the play. BDS had the numbers advantage. Kind of just in a very awkward position as Sheo, without any hesitation, flashes in, gets the knockback, the CC onto Razork, they focus him down. And if Humanoid was involved in the fight, there's a world where this could have gone very differently, but BDS much better prepared. They secure their first dragon of the game.
Completely agree. It's the numbers advantage that makes them lose this here, and Noah can't get out as much damage as he wants. His W just gets completely blocked by the Braum shield, so the pullback does nothing. Nuke flashes to secure the kill. And Humanoid just rocks up that little bit too late. He can't really get there in time, though. He stops Trymbi from going down with his knock on the Rell jump there, which is good.
Complete disconnect from the bot side of the map with mid. Like, you could very clearly see that Nuke was just in the river so much earlier. The second that they engage onto Labrov, Nuke is basically already there. And BDS very correctly punish it.
And I think these kind of mistakes can start to cost double in a game where we look compositionally as we go later. really want to have a lead in the early game if you are the team with the Syndra. Going up against this Braum Ezreal, it's going to be so hard to find and delete that priority target. Humanoid put behind in the early game by Sheo, by Nuke. Struggling to get to that play first, and ultimately Fnatic just the ones who do not respect it.
We find ourselves still pretty much even into the mid game. Gold advantage in the top side of the map for Fnatic. Bot side of the map in favor of BDS. This is kind of what we want to see from our game 5s. Very close back and forth. These fights are going to be exciting. And again, Caedrel and I talked about it in draft. Kind of on paper, we favor what BDS has brought to the table with the range that they have, with what Braum can do to mitigate the strengths of Fnatic's composition. This Syndra, I think, is going to be incredibly difficult to play as we get later on into the game. But teams have surprised us before, even if we haven't fully believed in their draft, and ultimately that's what Fnatic is going to have to do with this composition. Still some potential late game with this Ivern. Adam now moving into the enemy jungle, doesn't have a ward, so he's just going to back off.
For now, BDS not able to really establish any greater map control, so not able to do what they did the first game, as well as in the fourth, push that vision line forward, take more and more control out of the enemy, use that information to their advantage. For now, still pretty quiet. Lane's still relatively even, while there are some individual discrepancies in terms of CS, XP, or gold. It's not amounting into a huge pressure advantage for either side as of yet.
And Dragon's still 2 minutes 40 seconds away, so what is there really to play for? The only thing is the Fnatic Herald buff that they have right now. Where do they put it down? BDS are trying to get some vision in River to be able to match it, so you'll see if Razork decides to place it on this bot side, everyone will collapse down. But now, TP up for Wunder. Ward behind bot side. No TP on Adam.
We've talked about this.
We've talked about this a few times.
Game.
But there's pings coming in from BDS. They're pinging the ward, actually. I think they know it's there, so they are a little bit hesitant. There's a ping ward as well. I'll just bring up the map here, because there's a pink ward that's been sitting there for a long, long time. It's just out of reach of that pink that's actually covering off over the wall. Pings again on the bot side. You can see them on the ward. Fnatic are, this is the third time in a row, fourth time, they're trying to ping a ward behind, but Trymbi is going to be fine. They're really aware of this. Like, I think Trymbi's calling it, like, let's look for this TP play. Wunder, we'll see if he backs away.
You know what?
Oh, that's E. That's E gone.
When's the TP coming in? Wunder needs to go.
Well, as you rightly said, like, they've pinged it out. They know it's there.
Yeah, it's gone. So there was a play for Fnatic for about 20 seconds there, but they didn't go for it. The Ezreal has flash up still, even though he has the E, and Wunder would lose so much top. So the Herald's just going to have to be placed in a straight-up 3v3. Nuke has the TP of his own as well. Now they're pinging the ward BDS behind Fnatic. So both teams are discussing this flank.
Maybe going to be able to find the angle here. Hook now coming out. Flash from the Herald is there, but no fall damage onto the members of BDS. So just a plate and a half to the side of Fnatic. Keeping them with a gold advantage. Not too big of one, but still something.
Just blast coding Daisy out. Operation Saving Private Daisy.
They're sending Daisy back in. Daisy face check this for me. No,
yeah.
you face check this.
She's just 1 day away from retirement, man. Every time she tries to get out, they throw her back in.
Dragon's up in 50. Fnatic have the outside control. Hook's gonna go into the river. Does Noah have his Kraken Slayer? That'll make his next Drake fight a lot easier. Humanoid is getting close to his Mythic too. He does not.
Alright.
Crownie has the Triforce.
Yeah. And here we are, gentlemen, once again. We wanted to know what version of Game 5 we would see. Bloodbath or calm, controlled players who are terrified of being the one to throw it all away. And we're getting a bit more of the, I'm going to call it calm and controlled. I don't know if they're scared or not. I'm not going to make assumptions about the emotions. I'd be terrified, but, you know, probably why I'm not a pro.
There's a joke there. But
You are a pro at Armored Core, though.
Thank you. Thank you. There you go. See, he built me up. Your option was, among other reasons.
No, man. I thought it was a really mean joke. It was actually directed at him.
Oh, wait, so I was going to take the L? What?
Sometimes I feel like we're just the angel and the devil sitting on Caedrel's shoulders.
True, yeah.
Sometimes both the devil.
Right. Started by BDS. Here we go. Noah, Crownie.
Crownie, nice sidestep to stop the roof from coming through. Noah getting chunked out.
Goes for heal there.
So advantage, but nice scatter. Only going to connect onto Labrov. Sheo still waiting over the wall. No scatter for a few more seconds. Daisy just in the midst of everybody. Unperturbed. As the objective will go down. TP now coming into the top lane. Azir will do.
Well, they can fight now, though. Nuke's out.
Instantly, the engage now coming through, but Adam just wants to turn and burn. Trymbi Be pretty vulnerable. Humanoid now going to throw the ultimate down. Labrov burning slowly but surely, but has managed to flash out to safety. Trymbi now on the chase. Humanoid on the chase manages to find the kill. They got the objective, but Fnatic will find a few kills to back it up.
Great engage by Trymbi. Fnatic didn't want to fight that Drake. They wanted to make it look like they wanted to fight the Drake. Crownie though, in Crownie!
Going forward. Crownie trying to finish
What did he just do? He just tried to flash Q Trymbi in front of all of Fnatic and he missed. Trymbi had the W anyway.
Massive misplay from Crownie. Game 5, these are mistakes that you cannot afford to be making. Razork is going to continue to interrupt the base of Sheo. Wunder? Nah, he's not going to do it.
And you can see the 1k gold lead in top. Fnatic postured to contest the Drake, but they knew they were never going to fight it. Look, the Xayah has a Noon Quiver and Wunder's pushing top, so wait, hang on a second. Azir's TPing top, so then Tribute says, let's just go, I can ult the backline here. Throws it onto Crownie. Then Adam has to run away. He doesn't have the items to fight this as an Olaf. It's a 4v4 and his team has to disengage. Everyone runs back. They finally get one kill. What happens with Crownie though? Trymbi gets hit by the WQ. Gets the Daisy down. He sees Trymbi on the pink ward clearing it, I imagine. Then he goes for the flash. Oh, I didn't see Razork, so he flash Qs and then he sees Razork. Even if he hit, Trymbi wouldn't have died.
That was greedy, man. He wanted to try and get something back. 1-for-1. Frustration on the face of Crownie. Herald now started up by BDS. Do Fnatic feel confident enough to fight this? Noah and Humanoid are nowhere near.
Decent angle into the fight thus far. The objective getting lower and lower. Razork not really in a position to steal this one away. They cannot get the objective, but maybe, just maybe, they would fish for the fight. Humanoid not going to find an angle for Scatter of the Week, only connecting on Labrov, so BDS happy to just take that objective.
Fnatic are getting kills, yes, but actually all these objectives are going to BDS, apart from that first Herald. So BDS, when they've got positioning, it looks like Fnatic struggle to break it. It's only when BDS scatter or they try to catch waves that Fnatic can find their angles to engage. See if that gets any better, but I don't think it will. But they have no flash on anyone, so contesting that Herald becomes really difficult against an Azir with flash.
I mean, what Fnatic have gained is plates, right? A lot of the gold difference we can see sitting between the two junglers. Part of that is because of the farm advantage Razork has, but using that early Herald to get the plate advantage, Wunder getting a bunch of plates top, the plates they were able to get bot, that's largely where this gold difference has been accrued. It's only Crownie that has some sort of gold advantage. Crown proc there from Nuke. He's going to slide away to safety, though. As Fnatic are investing more members onto the top side of the map. Trymbi in a bit of danger here.
Could be in trouble. No Scatter of the Week necessary for Humanoids. They are able to walk away. Again, 2k Goldie building in favor of Fnatic. BDS once again stacking Drakes, as is their way.
Third Dragon is going to have a lot of impact in the outcome of this game, as it so often does in BDS games.
BDS,
2 minutes is the timer.
Yeah, BDS, I was going to say, has Herald if they want to fight that Drake. True. Use it through mid if they want.
Very true. You kind of look at the health of these Fnatic towers, and you can see they're pretty much pristine across the board. Fnatic, during the laning phase, have done a great job of kind of weathering away, or chipping away, I should say, at those tower HP bars. Daisy? Oh no, Daisy's been abandoned. Oh, she's okay.
Teleport.
Yeah, just, you know, the casual Misty Step.
Return Pokemon.
Yeah, just blinks behind you.
Whoa!
Okay. Instantly, Crownie's going to find himself locked up. Labrov going to stop any follow-up damage. Ignite in the end, cut down.
I mean, they saw an angle. Didn't quite turn into much, though.
But you're right, Vedi. There's a lot of standing gold on the map. Both side lane tier 1s are really low. Fnatic just need to commit to one side, recuperate through mid, commit to the other side without losing any in return. And they have a lot of vision right now on the map to be able to do that. Just a case of getting people out of base and ready to do those kind of plays. They tried them towards bot side, and I think they'll finally get this bot tower as Adam gives up, knowing that the support jungler are in the area. Transitioning that to top should help them get the top tower as well, and we'll see this gold lead balloon to almost a 3k gold lead soon for Fnatic if they can get the top one as well.
Pressure on the map, continuing to stack up in their favor. Good to have thus far.
This Renekton is strong.
Yes, he is. I mean, Hydra coming out from Adam. Gonna be able to clear those waves pretty quickly, but threatening these fights can be pretty big if you can get onto the back line.
It's quite funny to see Wunder slowly get more and more comfortable going from game to game. Obviously, been away from the LEC for a while. Game 1, he didn't have a fun time. He was isolated away. Well, it was more so that BDS could track Razork, that he didn't really have much that he could do, so he was always isolated. The same thing in Game 2. Game 3 and 4 with a bit of support from Razork, and now really in Game 5, he's come into his own, doing a great job in the 1v1.
This is a great point in the game for Fnatic to fight. Redemption ready on Ivern, 2 items. The Xayah looking pretty strong. The Ezreal doesn't have Muramana, no Nashers for the Azir. There's still a Herald for BDS though, but in terms of itemization and game time, this is the best time for Fnatic.
A brief window before Crownie's flash comes back up.
Is the crown brought
Down
right?
9 seconds. 5 seconds on that flash for Crownie. Does not look like Fnatic are going to be able to find that angle.
Wunder actually just clearing out vision in the river. Fnatic have gained control here. The Herald now comes out, but I don't know if that's actually going to do much. I guess Fnatic can actually afford to just give that one away. They hold control of the river for now.
Scatter. Just offering a bit of poke here as Adam just steps forward, just threatening. Noah going to do his best to clear away this objective. It's a 1v1. Herald versus Daisy. Who's going to come out on top? Game 5. Uh-oh. She's spinning. She's turning away. They managed to...
Wait, she can charge now.
She's still going to charge, but their eyes are on the prize, and that is the Drake. Not the Herald. TP now coming in, looking for that flank off to the side. Wunder ready to go over the wall. The blast cone going to be denied. BDS
Watch Sheo.
cannot see into this brush. Labrov blocking as much damage as he can, and the objective taken away by Sheo. But BDS, do they have the ball? Nice damage coming in as the Ezreal manages to connect onto 3. Crownie for now, untouched. Redemption coming in, but BDS slowly but surely backing away. Humanoid doing what he can to salvage the play, to try to find these kills, but Adam ready to turn, ready to fire back, and at least make it a 1-for-1. Humanoid has to be careful. Hook not going to connect. Sheo waiting off to the side. Root will come in. Adam walking away. So many blinking health bars. The scatter will connect on the nuke, but there's no follow-up damage. Sheo waiting over the wall, spotted now on the ward as he tries to dash his way out to safety. Trymbi giving his life, but for what? The ball will finally be there. The jungler will finally drop. Fnatic still desperate to find more, but they will only find another kill.
Very extended fight. It ends in a 2-for-2. BDS get the dragon though, that puts them on soul points, and you can see the range that BDS are playing with. They're just kiting Fnatic the entire way back. It's so frustrating for Fnatic getting range. Noah couldn't even use the Featherstorm because as much as they have the range, they don't really have the engage either. He was never really under threat. It's just the front line getting burned down. It's just so much more difficult for Fnatic to find their way into these fights. Sheo gets the dragon, even W's over the wall. Eventually he's just gonna flash over. Redemption heals Trymbi up so much, goes back almost to half HP. Then it's Labrov, which is the target, but watch Wunder. He tries to get some damage down, but it just goes into the meat grinder of BDS. Eventually they trade back as Sheo looks for a very aggressive position in the alcove.
But this range difference was one of the biggest concerns we had coming out of the draft. How does Fnatic actually threaten the backline? You can see Nuke, he's more than happy to just play at full reach. Crownie's taking barely any damage. Good hook from Trymbi, does cost him his life, but it gives enough time for Noah to be able to do the damage for the Ignite to connect. And you can see BDS are pretty happy with this overall. Their carries didn't drop, they still secured the dragon. And even though they still find themselves at a gold deficit, the scaling continues to come through, and Crownie now 2 items complete.
You can see the power of the Rell Q through the Ivern shield. Trymbi walked up there thinking I'm fine. Rell instantly Q through the whole shield, and then Trymbi dies into a 1-for-1. It's a difficult mechanic to play around. Nice picked up the Cosmic Drive, and Noah's building towards that second item.
I will also say, Humanoid in that fight did unleash his ultimate into Labrov. It felt like that he got a little impatient. He felt like he had enough damage to get that execution off, but he didn't. He needs to be really patient with how he uses it. That ultimate can be a massive game changer in upcoming fights. But anyway, we reset. The mid tower is now Fnatic's focus.
Fnatic ready to just cut this one down. Sheo going to come over the wall here. Labrov coming in as well. Hook now going from Trymbi, looking to follow up on this one. Tower still standing for now, though. Nobody's hitting it. Trymbi's just getting cut down. Huge overstep. Miscommunication potentially from Fnatic because they are not on the same page.
It felt like Fnatic wanted to force something in order to just take the tower down and then maybe convert it into a big team fight, but Trymbi couldn't escape. His flash was not enough. He got drawn back underneath the tower. And again, it's a game state where you sit there and think, oh, Fnatic is still in the lead. They're up in towers, they're up in gold. But BDS, the scaling is something that is only going to get stronger as the game continues. 3-0-2 for Nuke's Azir. BDS is still in a very comfortable position and have very clear win conditions to turn this goal difference in their favor.
Azir Ezreal is getting scarier and scarier. I don't really have to dive to stop them, so it's just a case of being able to burst out the Olaf or the Rell and then reset the fights and try and play the objective. Zone them away with the Syndra stuns, maybe Nautilus hooks as a threat, and they can do that when the front line is down, but until it isn't, then this backline DPS is just way too much to deal with.
So hard. I mean, so many of these fights just feel unplayable for Noah. He cannot hit a priority target without exposing himself to so much risk, to so much poke. Humanoid, of course, has the luxury of the Scatter of the Week, incredibly long-range engaged tool, but the normal Dark Sphere is still putting him at risk, getting shredded by BDS's composition. And the thing is, yeah, Adam's 900 gold behind, but he's still strong enough, as you saw, to burn through Wunder's health bar. And if Humanoid or Noah overstep for even a moment, he can easily, with his ultimate, force out just about all of their relevant cooldowns. This is, it's not impossible for Fnatic to navigate, but this is such a hard game in this state.
Or if this is a game that Crownie goes Serpent's Fang, you know, against Lockett and Ivern, Nautilus shield. Could be worth it, but we'll see. He's the only really one who can do it on the entirety of BDS. These shields are going to be a very big problem as much as Rell can break through them. Build towards the Cyril does at the moment though, so we won't see that for a little while. 30 seconds on the Dragon Spawn. BDS have two options. One is to try and brute force their way in here with their range, or they could go towards a Baron. You know, they have a pink ward in the pit and they can burst that down very quickly.
Yeah. Ezreal, Azir, Olaf, certainly a powerful trio for taking down the objective. Fnatic holding onto what vision control they can. We've entered the ARAM stage of the game. Both teams know what's at stake here. Neither one wants to walk away and get engaged on Humanoid, finding a bit of poke on the Crownie, but not a whole lot else.
Wunder taking a lot of damage.
Labrov waiting as long as he can on the Unbreakable. So much chain CC coming in on the Braum. Trymbi's hook not going to connect. Humanoid waiting over the wall. Nice scatter again on the Crownie, but there is no follow-up.
Sheo though, he's on the side.
If they walk into the choke, it's going to be devastation. Noah ready now to pull the Fed at his back, but he's getting stunned, he's getting locked up. So much damage coming in for the Xayah, but Labrov will stop the follow-up once again, but instantly it is Wunder into the back line to try and turn the play. Razork still standing, finds the root, and now it is Nuke versus the world. The Nuke will not be enough. Fnatic, they find the angle, they take the fight, and they'll take the Drake.
You see how happy the staff is with that fight. It was a bit of a dire situation. Soul ready for BDS, but it's a huge fight as Sheo goes in, but he's engaging into a choke and a Xayah, so Noah can proc the ultimate. Labrov was late with the block, and then an insane Q comes out from Razork to land onto Crownie. Nuke tries to save the fight, but Fnatic, they fight through this engage.
A really good ultimate from Noah to start the fight off, because it just tears apart Sheo. He's forced to disengage. Wunder then 1v4 on the back line, provides space for Fnatic to deal with Adam, and then that route right there onto Crownie really was the final nail on the coffin. That play from Nuke, while it looked flashy, it was not enough. Fnatic find 4 kills. They're looking for the Baron. Sheo, can he get a steal?
Crownie dying with flash up. Scatter the weak now coming out. The Baron secured. Fnatic will not overstay. They walk away. 5 members wearing purple.
Yeah, they denied the soul. They also got a 5-man redemption in that fight. The redemption healed over 2,000 health in that one fight alone. Wunder gets the heal, gets the kill on Sheo, gets the Sterex, and gets out in that entire fight. So, I mean, this guy's team fighting has been impeccable, you know, coming in with 3 days of practice and slowly progressively getting better throughout the series. It's been such a buff to Fnatic to help them in what seemed like a dire situation in top lane.
It's also one of those situations where you have to wonder if BDS range is their biggest strength.
Yeah.
One of the things we've been saying is Fnatic don't have easy access onto the backline. Around these fights, you want to be leveraging your poke. I think that they even could have 50-50'd the Dragon. If it losing it wouldn't have been the end of the world for them, as long as they could chip away, because as long as they were healthy enough, there was a world where they could have just threatened the Baron immediately after, right? They had options, but instead by forcing the fight, putting themselves into that choke point, they gave Fnatic the opportunity to turn the game around.
And it's just like in game 1, where they flipped the Baron, where Razork, you know, got the steal, ultimately.
Yeah, I agree with Vedi. You know, BDS have the range. Why are they committing into the Xayah? Why are they diving into them to try and get the fight going?
And you have to feel like it's nerves or they're over-eager, because at the end of the day, it just feels like over-forcing on some of these plays, and now they are in a difficult circumstance. The composition that was so difficult for Fnatic to play out is getting so much easier with the power of the Baron emboldening them. Scatter not going to connect, but an easy tier 2 tower. Fnatic just continue to extend this gold lead.
They can move top as well. Wunder TP to defend that tower. They can try and rotate onto this top tier 2 as Wunder pushes in the wave. That'll be all 3 altars down and a huge gold injection for Fnatic, and then they're sitting pretty. There's still a lot of scaling on the carries of BDS, and they still have to be very wary as they start to snowball this game. It's only the front line of Fnatic that's ahead, but the Ivern is providing so much in terms of keeping them up, keeping the system there.
Do they know?
Unspotted, immediately going to find multiple members of the back line. The feathers go the wrong way for Noah. Will it be enough for BDS to turn the fight? Crownie remains untouched, but Sheo gets torn down. Now the scatter of the week coming out. Labrov, he's got nothing left, but another AD carry taken down. They're trying to burn through. Nuke will drop as well, and it's Crownie now alongside Adam doing everything they can to hold on to the game. Adam continuing to step forward. Even the tower is not enough. The shields from Razork are simply too much. But by their powers combined, finally the Ivern will drop. Humanoid coming in for the tier 2.
BDS hold the line. They didn't want to drop that top tier 2. Sheo gets an engage, and it looked bad for BDS as the engage came through because Noah disengaged with the ult, but Fnatic over chase and they dive the tower. Wunder goes way too deep, uses the stopwatch to buy time for his team, but it's BDS that find kills, and they're fighting back.
Really hit the nail on the head there, Caedrel. An overforce after BDS forced earlier, but Sheo was just sitting in this brush for so long they had no idea. Noah reactively uses the ultimate the wrong way, which means so much damage isn't available. He does still melt the front line. Admittedly, Sheo drops, but to this point, they should be focusing the tower. Wunder is disengaging. A great play from Nuke. Humanoid flashes away to safety, but with the aggro of the tower onto Noah, he gets shuffled over to the back line. And then you see here, oh, Wunder, maybe you've got the W up the Q, but he doesn't. None of that's available. Crownie then cleans up that, and then with the tower aggroing onto Razork, it's easy for BDS to clean this fight up. Well played from BDS. Good use of the range this time round from Crownie.
It's a mixture of over-diving, but a huge play from Nuke to get Noah.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's just a case of, you know, Fnatic, they didn't get that. They didn't get the tower in the end. They are going to back away as it's 6 towers to 1. They still...
The Dragon Dance again.
Yeah, the Dragon Dance again. They still have that gold lead, and it's just going to come down to this Dragon. Wunder has the GA. A lot of summoners coming up for BDS here, specifically on their carries. Noah has his flash now.
I'm impressed that Humanoid has been involved in 11 of the 12 kills and only has a single death. And remember, that was the gank at the beginning of the game, level 4. I really thought that he would have a much rougher time in this game, especially against the Olaf, but his positioning has been good. He's top lane right now, has the TP, needs to go back to base, quickly spend what gold he can, and then rejoin the team.
This is like a 6,000 gold deficit, but you can see BDS are still fighting back because their comp just has the range advantage. All the gold is on the front line and the shield, and Humanoid's far ahead, yes, but it's just the poke and the range is just such a struggle for Fnatic to find.
The only gold differences you should be looking at on the bottom of your screen, these AD carry and mid lane differences. And while Humanoid does have an advantage, if he can't actually get the damage down, it doesn't matter. And this is why that range is making such a difference.
You can see Crownie has a red pot on as well, so he must think this fight is almost everything right now.
Daisy zoning as much as they can. BDS concede the choke point and allow Fnatic to walk into the river, though. This is going to make it a lot trickier for them to play out the fight.
Looking at the top lane items, I think Adam is just as tanky as Wunder at this moment. The GA obviously helps out a lot, but that Spirit Visage is going to tank so much of the Syndra burst if Humanoid targets him. Dragon getting lower and lower. Sheo stole the last one.
Rush line set up. Is it just going to be the 50-50? Sheo immediately going to all as much damage being blocked from Labrov as humanly possible. Humanoid uncontested again on the backside. Labrov slowly but surely getting burnt down. Crownie now targeted, isolated with the ultimate. Trymbi not going to find the hook onto him. Instead, Wunder going to focus onto Nuke. Wunder coming through. Humanoid now unstoppable. Drake in their sight. Noah continues to step up, but he has to be careful. This Ezreal does so much work. Sheo waiting in the darkness. Adam now coming through over the wall, trying to turn this one back. As Wunder buys so much time for the rest of the team. The GA not even procced yet. The Croc still standing for so damn long. Crownie now trying to run for his life with the hook connecting for Trymbi just in time to take out the Ezreal. Finding the kill in the end is Adam still standing, having a certified Olaf moment in the backside, but the meek will be cold as Wunder finds the kill.
Fnatic run head first through the fire. BDS have so much kite back and peel and range, but Fnatic just keep going forwards, and they might be able to end the game off of this.
Sheo still standing. Surely it will not be enough. A creep wave coming in as well. He's going to do everything he can to shred through that one, but Fnatic members still standing. Eyes on Montpellier, on Worlds, on the Swiss stage.
Nuke's alive.
One final push. Can they make it happen? Nuke is here. Are they willing to risk it? Are they willing to bet it all? The answer so far is yes. Continuing to auto-attack the tower, but they're tanking aggro. Daisy is forcing Razork to tank aggro. There's not much of an angle left here. 8 seconds left on Crownie. Do they really think they can do it? And again, it's insanity, but they're going to make it work. They take the carry down. Nexus in their sights. Montpellier secured by Fnatic.
Elation for the players of Fnatic. It has been an incredibly challenging year for this organization. But in this best of 5, they were able to clutch up back-to-back 4-5 games. They will secure top 3, and they will be returning to the stage in Montpellier.
That was a really tough game for Fnatic to win, even though they had that lead. Compositionally, it was so difficult. You can see in that last fight, they just kept going forwards, and Trymbi was screaming, don't stop, just keep going, chase them down. And they did. They got the kills. You can see Oscar there, very happy. Hopefully he'll get to play again soon, but Wunder coming in as the sub, making sure this Fnatic roster is still just as strong as ever.
Big shout out to Wunder, of course, coming in to sub for Oscar.
Yeah.
First 2 games were really difficult for him, but he really did find his form in the final game. Caedrel was noticing all these plays in the final fights. That clutch stun that he landed onto Nuke, and then Syndra one-shot him. He went from like 70% to 0 in an instant. And the team just played very well. Valiant effort from BDS. They put up a huge fight. Very excited to see them play up against Golden Guardians. I think they're going to represent Europe incredibly well.
The victory there against the Golden Guardians, of course, when we see them in the World Qualifier Series, will secure them Europe's 4th seed. They'll still have to fight their path through the play-in stage if they're able to beat the Golden Guardians, but they will officially make Worlds. Fnatic, of course, already locked in the Swiss stage. Don't have to go through play-ins. More time to practice. Of course, player of the series.
Something's changed. Something's the same.
Something's changed. Something's
Mad G2
the same.
Fnatic
it's
on top
crazy.
3.
10th place to Worlds Fnatic, or 9th place. I mean, crushing Winter into this run. It's an incredible stuff. Of course, vote for your favorite on X at LEC, Razork, Humanoid, or Noah. Rather not your favorite, but who do you think deserves player of the series?
This turnaround from Fnatic this year is just insane, isn't it? It reminds me of Mad Lions last year when they subbed in Niski for the remainder of summer and then still made that run. So it's just, it's crazy to me that they've managed to find the way to turn around through Humanoid and Razork, who were heavily criticized throughout winter and spring, you know, not finding any mid-jungle synergy. 2 side lanes that really can be powerhouse in a sense. Even Wunder coming back, they found a way to just really be a team. And I think Trymbi's been leading a lot of that.
Super fun best of 5, gentlemen. It was great to see the 2 teams back and forth. Incredibly close game 4 and game 5 as well. Ultimately came down to these team fights. And BDS at the cusp of victory once more. They were so close. Yeah, another game 5 where they couldn't quite make it. And it's going to feel frustrating, but hopefully that feeds into their hunger. They are so close to have the potential. And again, I'm super excited to see them go up against Golden Guardians. I'm confident.
Golden Guardians got to deal with Adam. You know, Europeans, they found a way to slowly do it, but good luck, NA. Have fun with that one.
All right, Licorice, how you feeling, buddy? How you feeling
about that? The trash talk has started now. You know, like, we're already there.
Even if they don't want to do it, we'll do it for them.
It's fine.
That's ultimately what matters.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, but again, I think incredible series. You know, we heard a lot of predictions from the devs today, expecting dominance from one side or the other, whether it was Rob predicting Fnatic or the 3-0 predictions for BDS.
Wunder's telling us to speed it up.
We're waiting.
Are you ready, Wunder?
Wunder's saying,
would you like us?
Wunder's telling us that he's ready. Okay,
he's had to play League of Legends for like 6
It's his turn. It's his turn.
Would you like to talk?
It's his turn.
It's your turn now. Go ahead.
His turn to speak. Indeed, Wunder. Thank you so much for joining me. Congrats on this victory comeback. What have you been up to for this year?
I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't expect to be coming back so soon. I expected to come back for next year. What I've been doing, I mean, honestly, it was a bit of an unlucky timing because I did actually play a lot of solo queue, but then recently I've been slacking a little bit. There's been some new game releases, and I felt like, I mean, the thing is, I was actually planning to go solo career bootcamp here this month, actually. Now it looks like, I mean, I'll be going, probably not with Fnatic, but if they didn't resolve their hand issue, maybe you'll see me there. But I was initially going there for solo queue, but yeah, I hadn't been playing much, and I had like a week now of preparation, and I think, given everything, I think I have done. I'd say I made some mishaps playing some matchups I didn't play for like a year or so on stage for the first time today, which wouldn't normally happen. But I think all things considered, I'm okay, proud of myself, yeah.
And for the comeback victory, you get to play against Adam and his stupid champion pool and Olaf and Darius and stuff like this. We've been highlighting the grudge match between you and Adam, and I saw the Olaf and Yuumi hover in game 1. Anything you want to mention about this and the rivalry between the two of you?
I mean, I have like no animosity towards any player, of course. Like I get along with, I mean, I like to believe everyone. At least I don't dislike anyone. And yeah, I mean, obviously there's like a lot of history, a lot of like back and forth, right? But yeah, I mean, in the end, after the games, even like when we met in the hallway, we just joked about, we said, game 5 banger, you know, like stuff like this. And yeah, I mean, it's just all fun in the end.
We know it's all good fun, of course, and it's nice to see you guys bringing the fun on the Rift. You said that you only had a few days to train with the team, of course, because it came as an unexpected news. What happened to Oscarinian? How was it to come back, and what is the difficulty coming back to pro play in such a clutch moment, qualifying series, after not playing for such a long time, as you said?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, of course, different for everyone, right? Like, if I was actively playing what is the current patch meta, I wouldn't have had so much issues. I mean, I don't think I had have like big issues anyways, but of course, like there's a lot of matchups that these guys have been scrimming for 3 months plus now, which I was in solo queue playing like Akali and Cassiopeia, right? And if I go in sub in for a team and I play these champs, you know, it's like kind of reportable, you know, like I don't go in and just like take over the draft and play something that no one, like as a substitute, you don't really do that. So I've had to learn like basically the matchups that, I mean, everyone plays, but also Oscarinian plays, right? I kind of wanted to fill the gap of what they kind of have and need right now as a top laner. So yeah, that was my main goal.
Honestly, I think you did amazing, especially after all this time. Even though I feel like your jungler left you on an island for this series, he's waiting in PGL right now. Is there anything you would like to tell your jungler about the way he treated you today, Wunder?
I mean, we had some unlucky like level 1s. Of course, I don't put all the blame on him, but I felt like, I mean, after I misplayed the level 1-2 against the Jax matchup early and I got dove, I felt like it really punished me after that, like Razork. Like he didn't, I think in the next game where I was playing Renekton Darius, I had like the upper hand of the matchup for the most part, basically ever since like level 2-3. And yeah, I mean, he didn't like pay me as much attention up in the top lane, but I'm kind of used to that by now. So I just went with it. And honestly, like the rest of the team really smurfed like most games anyways. So bot, mid, and jungle as well. I mean, he was really strong on Karthus besides the first game, of course. So, I mean, I think they played well, all of them.
Life of a top laner, of course. Well, Wunder, thank you so much for the interview. It's really nice having you back in the league. And that's all for us here on the side of the stage. So I'm going to send it over to Sjokz, Odo Amne, Razork, and Trymbi. That's a lot of people for PGL. Take it away.